maybe a little bit later. We'll be talking about this COVID and what it did. But to me, I'm a reasonably pessimist person, optimist person, sorry. And I see this as a reset button. I think you will see lots of changes. I know it's a tough time.
Nature's reset button. Nature's reset.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know whether it is a nature. Again, there are a number of theories around that, but let's not get into that. I think that's let's discuss some entrepreneurship. And I'm sure these are tea talks everyone is having in Pakistan as well. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, like you, I'm in a very unpredictable boat, but I hope whatever happens, happens for the best, happens for the good. So let's see, we got another year of, I would say, uncertainty, instability. And hopefully after that, we will come out of it one way or the other. And I'm sure you're hearing all this conspiracy stuff as well. This is happening, that is happening, New World Order. It's the battle of the big boys, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, okay, guys, are we ready? Taskin, can we make a start?
Yes, Dr. Khurram, dear participants from the IDO AP Advanced Level, good evening to everyone. And I would like to officially welcome Dr. Khurram Sharif. And I would like to thank him for the time that he's taking out to deliver these insightful insights. Yeah, good. Deliver these insights. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Khurram Sharif to please start the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Taskin. Okay, guys, that means girls and boys, let's make a start. If you remember the previous session that we had, I had some wonderful inputs. We had some very, I would say, thoughtful discussions. And one area that we sort of looked at was value creation. Because in my view, one of the major responsibilities of an entrepreneur is to create or to generate value. We have to go beyond profit. We have to go beyond money. Yes, money is good. It's a very, very useful resource, and not discounting its importance. But I think we have to go beyond that. So one key question that we sort of, raised in the previous session when we were looking at those 6 key questions, and how do we create markets? One key question was, okay, how do we assemble? How do we nurture? How do we grow? How do we develop value? So today, the topic business model generation is going to look into that area again. So in fact, what we will be doing is we will be looking at maybe an organized way, a systematic way of how we put together a business plan which generates value. Okay, so let's sort of start today's session, business model generation, and formal welcome to all the participants wherever you are. So I think you've been sitting down too long on your chairs watching these screens. There might be some stiff necks out there, some slightly frozen or, what should I say, rigid shoulders. So what I want everyone to do is just sort of push back, create some space so that you can do a little bit of extension. No bother if you go out of the camera and you are sort of, but let's sort of do a little bit of movement before we launch into the session. So let's start with this first exercise. You can move sideways like what I'm trying to do. Okay, so sit down, relax, be comfortable, back against the rest of the chair or the back of the chair, and very, very gently lift. Strike a little, don't put too much pressure, down. Do the same to the left leg. Repeat about 3 to 4 times. Let's sort of get those muscles warmed up, the blood flow going. Okay, 4 to 5 times. Excellent. Maybe you can pick up the pace a little bit. All right, done. Excellent, excellent. Okay, let's move to the next posture. Okay, still seated down, making it comfortable for you, making it easy for you. Move back a little so that you don't hit the table or the desk against which you are sitting. All right, so you see me, relaxed, move to your right. Do a little bit of a shaking of the waist area. Move to the left, do a little bit of shaking. All right, get a little bit of limberness into your waist area. Make it a little bit more flexible. All right, do 4 to 5 times. Pick up the pace a little bit. Okay, so you're limbering up, you're warming up. Excellent. Okay, let's move to the third one. Now here, I want you to stand up. Very, very quickly. Stand up, everyone. I don't know whether you can see me, almost. This position. Both hands, fingers crossed, palms clenched. Raise, go up. Okay, again. Try to bring your arms down and up. Stretch your arms. Reach for the roof or the sky. And now move from left to right while your arms are stretched. Okay. Move 3, 4 times. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. And then finally, the last one. Go behind the chair on which you are sitting. Okay. So, sort of go back a little, around 3 feet between you and the chair. Now extend your right arm and sort of move forward. A little bit of a rocking movement. You can feel a little bit of strain on your back leg or your left leg. So do that. That's good. That's good. Get those tendons stretched. Okay, now do the same with the left leg. Forward. The other leg, right leg straight, and rock a little. You will feel a little bit of tension at the back of your calves. That's fine. Limber, limber. Okay, do this one more time. Okay, and one more time on the other. Excellent, guys. Okay, good, 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 good. I think everyone is activated. Most of you are energized, hopefully. Sorry if your cup of tea or coffee is getting cold. Let's move on to the session plan. Let's get our brains into gear, that sort of exercise that mental muscle. Okay, so basically, I'm going to look at four main areas. We will start with anatomy of a business model. Now here I would say one thing. Those of you who have been making business plans left, right, and center, and I know most of you who have done MBAs or BBAs are familiar with this beast called a business plan. Now, business model is very similar to a business plan. It's a plan, okay? But in my view, it is more of a graphical plan, and especially the business model, and there are hundreds and hundreds of them. The one I'm going to share with you, the business model canvas, is a fairly rational, logical, and in my view, a simple plan. It is well laid out, and hence it is easy to apply or implement. So we'll come to that. So first of all, we will look at what are business models. Why do we make a business model in the first place? What's the purpose of a business model? And then I will move on to a little bit of a history. But I want to show you how business models have evolved, or whether they have evolved, okay? So we want to look at this decade, moving from 2000 to 2010, and see whether there has been any change. Then I want to go on to this particular business model that I want to share with you. And I think some of you are already familiar with this. It's called Business Model Canvas by Osterwalder. We will look at the model, the 9 components of the model, and then inshallah, we will finish with the application of this model with a very practical problem or an opportunity. Okay, the way you look at it is problem with an opportunity. This is yin and yang, the Chinese philosophy. Wherever there is a problem, remember there is an opportunity. And if you start looking at COVID-19, we were sort of discussing this a few minutes ago with the Hisab. And you see, it's a way of looking at it. And I said, I'm more of an optimist. So yes, it is a problem. Yes, it is tough time. It is difficult time. But at the same time, you can look at it as an opportunity. And as you can see, number of new businesses, number of different businesses are coming out of this particular pandemic. So we will look at the BMC application, and I will give you a problem or an opportunity which is quite significant. And I will ask you very, very quickly to build, or at least build an outline of a business model around this particular opportunity. Okay, so let's start with the first part of our session, and that is anatomy of a business model. Okay, so first of all, why make a business model? What's the need? I think there are a number of businesses in the world which have started without any plan, without any business model. You just go, you set up something, and voila, you have a business. So why do we need a business model? Well, let me tell you one thing. The reason, and I'm sure most of you are already aware of this, we need a business model is that we have some sort of a map. So we have some sort of, how should I say, a guide, something that takes us through the process. The process that we know moves from A, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. One big advantage of having a model or a plan is that, for God forbid, if you fail, or you go wrong, or there is some level of difficulty, or one of the steps did not work, you have a map here. You have a guide here. You have a systematic, how should I say, tool where you can go back, you can go to the point where you made the mistake, and you can correct it. So if you don't have a plan, and if you just start something haphazardly and just out of the blue, you may get it right. However, if you don't get it right, then what's the plan B? What is the contingency? What can you do? So basically, business models are what I call thinking maps or thinking tools. Okay, so Apple, not the one you eat, but Apple, the company. All right, so what does Apple do? What's the main solution that Apple provides to its customers? I'm not talking about the product. I'm not going to talk about the product, because to me, customer buys a solution, value, not a product. Okay, so what does Apple provide, or what did Apple provide which was so useful and it was so successful that they made billions of dollars, and they are still making billions of dollars? So basically, the crux or the fundamental essence of Apple's solution was a seamless system of entertainment. Now think about it. Apple is not just giving you an iPod, or it gave you an iPod. It gave you entertainment. It gave you a whole solution. Okay, here is this gadget. Go onto iTunes, download the music, and enjoy yourself. And same model moved through first generation, second generation, third generation, and now we have fourth or fifth generation, where again you have seamless entertainment. You buy a mobile phone, you go on iTunes, you download music, you download movies, you download other forms of entertainment. So again, at the end of so-called business modeling, what you should have is a solution like Apple. Okay, so Apple, I think it's a very visible example. Let's sort of look at something a little bit more mundane. All right, here is Zipcar. I don't know how many of you are aware of this company. It's a car rental company. But basically, it came up with a different solution through a business model. And what was that solution? Okay, so you have Hertz, you have Avis, you have Budget, you have Europa Cars, you have a number of car rental companies. So what did Zipcar do? How was their solution different, and might I say, more effective than the competition? Okay, guys, they said, all right, you come to us, we will give you a solution. You don't have to even buy a car. Just take our car. It will be cheaper than owning a car. Use it for 1 year, come back, we'll give you another car. So what we will do is we'll give you total flexibility. You can have a car for day, you can have a car for hour, you can have a car for a year, you can have a car for 2 years, you can have a car for the rest of your life. So we are making it easy for you. We are making it cost effective. We are making it a membership system. So they basically gave flexibility, different types of rental options to different types of customers. And they're very successful. A New York-based company doing very well. I don't know, okay, very, very quickly, I'll show you what they do so that you have a better idea of what the Zipcar is all about. In your free time, you guys can go and you can check out their website just to get a better idea. So this is basically what they do, okay? So it's a very flexible, very user-friendly service where you can have a car on demand. And if I sort of very quickly show you, you can get the car in minutes, you can order online, it is delivered in quite a few spots in New York or other major metropoles or cities. You can drop it at various places, so you have a lot of flexibility. So if you're a busy person, or if you are a student, or if you're someone who needs a car for 2 days, you have that option. And if you see here, we are telling you, where they are, where their different spots are, from where you can pick the car, drop the car. A very good business model. Okay, so let's sort of move on. And I will share one more model with you. And that is something which comes from our part of the world. And I think it has instigated a lot of business activity in Indo-Pak region. And I'm talking about Grameen Bank. Okay, guys, if you want to talk to me, you can talk to me, and I'll be more than happy to sort of very, very quickly look at your comments. Right, okay, so Grameen Bank. So can anyone tell me what solution are they giving to their customers or to their clientele or even society in general? Anyone? So what do you think? Okay, very good, very good. Microfinance. Shakib, that is absolutely spot on. So yeah, they are helping people to help themselves. Banks sell money, but mostly they don't sell it to poor people because they can't afford their money. Lots of interest and so on. So here, Grameen Bank came up with a slightly different idea, and absolutely. So this is where you're trying to you activate a segment of the market which does not have access to easily available or cheap finance. And then they started sort of branching out into different social businesses. So that's absolutely fine. Again, guys, a very different business model. And it says right on the top, banking for the poor. All right. So one thing, business model, focus on the solution, not just the money. Okay, and remember one more thing, and I'm going to repeat this in my session a few times. This business model, business planning is not a one-shot thing. It is forever, because plans or models are not static. They are not dead. They are organic, they are living, they evolve, they grow, they expand. Okay, what we do is we make a plan and then we start something and we say, okay, fine, plan, action, and a story. No. And this is where most of us get hammered, because we take our focus away from the planning. Remember, plan is going on. Okay, it is something which is continuous. So that's something I will come back to. Plan or model is a living thing. It grows, okay? It evolves. There is a metamorphosis here. There are changes here. So remember that. You have to move, you have to change, you have to evolve, okay? So here, absolutely right, guys. Elevation of poverty. I don't know how successful they have been at this pious cause, the noble cause, but this is what they do. And then I am sure you guys can give me, I'm not very familiar with this area because I'm more of a marketer, you know, finance, Islamic finance or microfinance is not my area, but I'm sure you guys can give many examples in Pakistan. Khuat maybe is an example where, you know, these guys have started microfinance in Pakistan and they're quite successful. Okay, so let's come to the business model. What is a business model? And before we do that, I just want to take you through the history of business model. I want to look at 10 years of business models and just to show you what are the key components of a business model. Okay, so let's start with 2000, a very, very academically sound and at that time a popular model in 2000, Linder and Krell. So they came up with a wonderful model which was based on value chain. And this is what they said, as you can see in front of you, that there are about 6 key components within a business model. There are 6 key variables in a business model that you must look at, or that you must consider, or that must be part of your planning. So what are those? Okay, obviously, customers. For these individuals, these segments, these people, these, you know, part of the society, you create a solution. You create value. So how do you create that value? Usually it is some sort of a product or a service which is given to these customers. Okay, no surprises here. So how do you get the value to the customer? Well, you need to have touch points. So channels, whether offline or online, are important. No surprises. Okay, obviously, when you spend money and you spend capital or resources, you have to recover that. Otherwise, the business will not survive. So you have to have some monetary value coming in, and then you have to set a price. And then obviously, when you start a business, you need to finance that business. You need to have a loan, or you need to have to ask your relatives, or you have to do crowdfunding. So you have to find the money. You have to find the resources to start, and that is the finance. So no surprises here. These 5 components are quite, how should I say, common part of any business. Yeah, Sumra. Okay, so Sumra, what do you want to say? Talk to me. Okay, no worries, mistakes happen, no worries. Okay guys, so this was 2000. Let's move ahead. Let's move 5 years down the road. I just want to show you, were there any changes? What happened to the model? Did they become different? Okay, let's have a look. So this is Schaffer et al. Again, a reasonably popular model. Okay, so wow, customers are there, no surprises. Process is here now. So here you're talking about creating value very, very quickly, just to sort of give you a little bit more of a, okay, if you see here, create value. So the process, production process, manufacturing process, how do we create value? Okay, so this is related to product. No surprises. What else? Okay, what else? You have products. So what are we going to give to the customer? So once the process is done, what's the outcome? So what is the offering? What do we give to the customers? What's the output? Okay, no surprises. Channels, again, yeah, okay. So we have created this value. We have made this product or service. How do we get to the customer? And finally, the same perennial variable. Finance, we need money, we need resources, we need capital. Okay, so 2000, 2005, are there any significant changes? I don't think so. Some of you might say, okay, the process is here. They've added process. Well, the process was there in 2000 as well. It's just that they have outlined that component. Still, I see a very similar model template. Okay, so let's move on. And let's move to 2010 now, 10 years later. What is happening to the model? Any changes? Well, okay, let's check. Very, very quickly, let me sort of get rid of this blotch. Okay, any changes? Well, let's check. So, products, voila, there. Service product, same thing, remember. Whatever you're offering to the customer is a value. And I put these things together. When I say product, that means service element as well. For customers, oh yeah, okay, they are there. Value for whom? Value for the customer. Good, or the consumer. How are we going to get the product to the customer? Well, we need to use channels. Okay, how are we going to create the value? What is the process? All right, so here we need ingredients. We need different components. We need different parts to create a product. And that, or those ingredients, or those components, or those inputs will be worked on, and hopefully we will have a product. The process is there. And again, finance appears. Okay, guys, so what am I saying here? The final model that I want to sort of show you is what we are going to work with, which is Osterwalder. And if you look at Osterwalder, the business model canvas also talks about more or less same variables. It talks about product, it talks about channels, it talks about customers, it talks about value, profit, it talks about resources, and it talks about finances. The point I'm trying to make, guys, is that, first of all, when you think about business plan or business model, you, as an entrepreneur, must focus on value, right in the middle, the white area. Now, the key question is, how do we create that value? Okay, so that value, hopefully, will be created by making a product for the customer. Okay, so how do we make the product? How do we create the value? How do we get it to the customer? How do we keep updating it? How do we keep evolving the value? How do we keep updating the value? This is where a plan is helpful, and this is where you need a business model. So here in front of you, what you see is business model canvas. So this business model canvas is, in my view, a simple and a user-friendly model. And I'm going to talk about this in a minute. So very, very quickly, let me sort of start this discussion by saying that business model canvas has three main areas. Okay. First area is the customer, the one on your right. So who is the customer? What do they want? Where are they? How are we going to sell to them? Second area is on your left, the blue area, which is the product. So what offering? How are we going to make it? What resources do we need? What type of people do we need? What type of finance do we need? And then you put these two together, product, customer, which gives you what value do I need to generate? What solution do I need to get out there? So business planning, business modeling is all about creating and sharing value. And I think business model canvas captures whole of this concept in a fairly simple, fairly visual, and a fairly systematic way. Okay, so before I move on to business model canvas, let me summarize the history of business models and maybe simplify it a little bit more. I mean, I can't handle complexity. You see, my brain gets, how should I say, roasted or burnt very quickly. I don't have a lot of micro sort of, how should I say, memory or, how should I say, chip capacity. Okay, so business models in general, whatever they are, whichever they are, have 6 key variables. You see them right in front of you. They can have a few more variables, few less variables. So depending on the type of product, depending on the type of service, depending on the type of channel, depending on the type of customer, there is some degree of variation. But these 6 general areas or variables, you will find in 90% of business models even today. So things haven't really changed as far as the basic variables which drive your business planning or business modeling is concerned. Okay, so first of all, obviously, you have to look at the product. You have to look at the offering. Okay. Second, you have to look at how are you going to make that offering? How are you going to make that product? Or how are you going to assemble that service? Thirdly, obviously, who the customer is. Who's going to buy your product? Who's going to utilize your product? Who's going to consume your product? And fourth, very important point, distribution, channels. How am I going to get my service, my product to the customer? So what touch points do I create? How do I get through the customer? Is it offline? Is it online? And then obviously, I want to start this business. I want to make this product. I want to create this service. From where am I going to get the money? Where is the finance going to come from? Is it the family? Is it the bank? Or is it someone else? And then finally, the last area, okay, I have to manage all this. I have to administer all this. And this is where your human resource management or your leadership becomes important. People are the ones who run an organization, who basically deliver value, who create products. How do you manage people? How do you use them effectively? That is administration. So guys, last 20 years of business modeling shows that this is the essence. These are the 6 general areas that you really need to plan, that you really need to model. And then you have your business model. Okay. So let me sort of, very, very quickly do a slightly different orientation to business models, a slightly different look at business models. And this is again, now I'm gonna, rather than sort of, looking at 10 years, I'm gonna take you on a journey of time, moving from past to present, and see what is happening to the business modeling. How business models have changed, how they have metamorphosized or developed. Okay, so here, 2 examples. I don't want to go through them. One is a mobile phone. And if you go to 1979 up to 2020, you see the solution has changed. And I assure you, the business model has changed as well. And here you have, okay, let me sort of point it out. This is interesting. Can anyone tell me what this is? Because this has something to do with a very useful product of the present. Can anyone tell me what's the name of this thing? Anyone? Talk to me, guys. What is this? Oh, wow. That is good. That was quick. Abacus, Rizwan, Bushra, spot on. What do you do with abacus? Okay. Yeah, counting. Well, I will use a slightly more sophisticated word. It's computing. Chinese still use it, and they use it quite effectively. So this was basically a computer from the biblical times. I mean, this has a history of about 3,000 years, very old. So it started from there, the business model, and then through product evolution, we have what we call a smartphone. Well, we shouldn't be calling it a smartphone, actually. We should be calling it a integrated smart platform, which has numerous applications, which has numerous functionalities. For instance, I can watch a movie. I can do my word processing. I can do so many things using my mobile phone. And I can also make a phone call. So that is one additional functionality. Okay, so let's sort of look at past to the present in terms of business modeling. Okay, I'm going to take you on a little journey using a time machine. Okay, so let's get ready, fasten your seat belts, and here we go. So 220, 215, 210, and we are going to arrive very soon, 1958. I think most of us were not even born in 1958. Well, I wasn't. So what happened in 1958? Okay, this guy did something interesting. So what did this guy do? Can you tell me? He worked for Xerox. Let me give you a hint. Anyone? What did he do? Wow. Okay. We have printing. Excellent. IBM. No, I said he worked for Xerox. So IBM is a slightly different. Yeah. Okay. Irfan Mudassir. Yes. He invented the first photocopier. Okay. So basically, this photocopier invented by this gentleman, and his name I'll share with you, is Chester Carlson. He worked for Xerox. He was one of their top scientists, or top engineers. So he invented this huge machine after 4.5 years of very rigorous research. So when he took it to the market, and it occupied half the room, lot of space. And when he took it to the market, no one wanted to buy it. They said it was too pricey. So in 1958, he was trying to sell it for $400. You could buy a car for about $300. So what happened? He got the business model wrong. Well, yeah, that can happen. Very easy to do. So what do you do? What did Chester Carlson do? Can anyone tell me what did he do when he found out that companies, organizations don't want to buy his photocopier at $400? What did he do to the business model? Ah, wow, Shakib, that is a good answer. He remodeled. And absolutely right. By golly, he did a remodel. And I think 99% of the businesses, when they create a model, the first model which is taken to the market, 99% of those businesses remodel. So here, this is nothing unique or new. So he remodeled and he changed his plan. And what he did was, rather than selling the photocopier. He said, okay, guys, you don't have $400. Don't give that money to me. I don't want it. Rent the machine and pay as you go. So pay as you go is not a new thing. It was sort of, it started in 1958, maybe even before that. So paper copy. And that business model worked. So remember what I said, and I'll say it again, business models are alive. They need nurturing, they need changing, they need shifting. Okay, so this guy, after he sort of rented the machine and used the paper copy scheme, things are fine. Okay, let's sort of start another journey. Let's come back from 1958. So again, brace yourself, hold on to your chairs. Let's move a bit quicker. All right, slow down. 1997. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question here because you guys are a clever lot. You're coming up with some fantastic answers. What happened in 1997 in terms of a breakthrough product? What was launched? Anyone? One of the most successful companies, I think internet happened a little bit earlier. iPod a little bit later. Windows, I mean, maybe. Okay, mobile phones, 1979. Microsoft, yeah, maybe their first version, but I'm sort of asking for a slightly different question. I think you have said everything except what I wanted you to say. Pentium processor, wow. Okay, good, good. All this must have happened, could have happened. What I want you to sort of look at is this particular product which was offered to us by these two gentlemen. Okay, now, can I have an answer? What did these two gentlemen do, which in my view changed the way we do business? Nokia, GSM. I think you're still sort of, oh, okay, this goes to Mr. M. Talha. Absolutely right, it was Google. These were the Googlers. They were the ones who gave us Google, Mr. Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Okay, so did Google get it right? Well, actually no. Their first business model failed. They had to go back to the drawing board and make a number of changes and then come back and relaunch. So Google wasn't an instant success. Okay, so what did they do? And what did Chester Carlson do? What do these examples have in common as far as business modeling is concerned? So one from 1958, other from 1997. What do they have in common? Okay, guys, first, they created a new product. Okay, and they did business modeling, even though it wasn't successful on the first contact with the market, but they did plan. Second, they invented a new business model. One of you said something, they remodeled, and that's a very good word to use. Yes, they did invent a model, did not work, they went back to the office, they remodeled, and they invented a new business model. Rather than selling, renting. This is what Chester Carlson did. What about Sergey Brin and Larry Page? How did they come up with a new business model? Okay, I'll tell you how they came up with a new business model. Before I tell you that, I want to ask you another question. Which was the first search engine into the market before Google? Anyone? Very good. You know your Yahoo. Excellent. Excellent. Everyone is saying Yahoo, except Mudassir. Bing came a bit later. So yeah, Muhammad Uzair, Shakib, absolutely right. So actually Google was the second search engine into the model. But they reinvented their model. They changed their model. And they came up with certain solutions which were more useful than Yahoo. And that's why they just took over the market. Two things which they did especially was first, they auctioned off search terms. So if your company name is A, you had to pay a little bit more. And if your company name was X, you had to pay a little bit less. Because the way the menu dropped when your customer or when someone was doing a search was your name appeared first, so you were more noticeable. And then, if your name came further down in the alphabetical order, you had to pay less. So they auctioned off search terms. Secondly, they started this whole new concept of text advertising. And then after that, this text advertising became quite big. And now on your mobile phones, every 2 minutes, you get a text advert from some unknown company. I mean, I get about 50 to 60 of these, how should I say, nuisances every day. I don't know what to do. But anyway, this was started by Google. So guys, first thing, you will not get your plan right on the first contact with the market. Very, very rarely, unless you are a genius. And I know most of us are not geniuses. Secondly, be ready to reinvent, to remodel, to change. And this takes me to my third point, which is even more important. The reason I am sitting here talking to you guys and teaching in Qatar is because I'm not an entrepreneur. Yeah, I may have the knowledge, but I do not have the ability and the tenacity to take risk. This is one of the key differences between an academic and an entrepreneur. We guys think too much, whereas entrepreneurs hit the road. Well, even if they get a bounce and they fail, still they hit the road. So third point, very, very important is, guys and girls, that these two individuals, Xerox and Google, these two companies, they took risk and they experimented. And this is not for the faint-hearted. Yeah, this is basically the litmus test. Ones who can do this, take the risk, experiment. Yeah, you fail, you go back. You fail, you go back. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. So this was the third point in business model. Okay, now it is not something linear, which sort of takes you into the market. And if you have a business model, you're guaranteed success. No. Business model is a very messy business. It takes time for your business model to come into a form where it works, where it becomes effective. So it's not something which you just do for the first time and you say, okay, I've got the magic stick here. I'll just go into the market and I'll sort of, rule the customers. No. Okay, now, very quick activity. So tell me, after listening to me for about the last 40 minutes, what is a business model? What is your definition? And please don't write essays. 2 lines. Tell me, what is a business model? Go on, guys. Fire your answers. Chat with me. Don't think too much. Say what comes to your mind. Okay, Zahisa, you can say it, you can write it to me. Either way is fine. I think you do not have, yeah, okay. Wow, that is deep, Sadia. It's a way to your destiny, and destiny can take some taking in terms of reaching it. Absolutely. Okay, it is about planning. Okay, it's a creation process. Good. It's a way to innovate. It's a systematic tool. Yes. It helps us to succeed by failing again and again. It is about creating value. Absolutely. It's a roadmap. It is a roadmap. Even if you have a roadmap, you can get lost. But then the roadmap tells you, okay, you're lost. Now you need to do this to go back to the right route. Okay, it is logical. Okay, strategic planning. Good. It's a navigator. Excellent, guys. I think you are giving me some very good. It's a scheme. It is a scheme. Absolutely. Okay, it is for generating economic activity. Absolutely. That is part of business planning. And it sort of gives you alternative set of actions. That's wonderful and fun, like it. Okay, snapshot. It's not a snapshot, actually. It's a story, guys. which is composed of snapshots. That's why I'm calling it more of a roadmap than, snapshot is something which is still. It is a moment in time. The thing is, business models are not that. They are a continuation. They are organic. They are living. They grow. They change. Okay? So they are not something which is static. Some wonderful answers, guys. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's move on. So this is my definition, which is very similar to your definition. And I think what you have said, it sort of very neatly captures all that. So business models are about how an organization, and when I say organization, it can be one individual, it can be a group of individuals, it can be a social organization, it can be institution, it can be government, it can be any of those. It creates, basically, that organization creates, delivers, and captures. The word here is, anyone? What's the word? Fill in the blank. Anyone? Come on, fill in the blank. Wow. Okay, I think this is good. Ibrar, excellent. Irfan, good. Bird in hand. Wow, that is a nice way of saying value. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, exactly right. The word is value. Focus on the value, because business model canvas focuses on the value. So let's talk about business model canvas. Now let's sort of specify our focus. So now from here onwards, the rest of 1 hour, I'm going to grill you with business model canvas. So we are going to go through its 9 components. As you can see, you can count left, you have 4, right, you have 4 components, and right in the middle, you have your value proposition. Okay, so very, very quickly, let me sort of, point that out, and then we will move on. So here, this is the key focus, right in the middle, value proposition. I think we will have a session on value proposition. So I'm going to sort of look at value proposition and customers for whom you are creating value. This will be called value proposition design, and I think it is one of the sessions which will inshallah take place in a week's time or so. So please, that session will be an extension from today's session. Okay, so 9 components. What are they? Let's very, very quickly go through them, because I want you to play with this model later on. I want you to apply business model canvas. Okay, so let's sort of start with the first 9 building blocks, guys. Let's start with the first. The king, the emperor, whatever you want to call it, the customer. So this is the focus of your value. So they can be out there in different shapes and sizes. And by different shapes and sizes, I mean segments of customers. So you, group of people, group of individuals, an organization could be serving one segment, or you could be serving multiple segments. So for instance, you can take a mass market approach, and I think all of us know what mass markets are. So here, if you're selling milk, if you're selling salt, you're selling fruit, vegetables, things like that, everyone eats them, everyone needs them. There is no distinction. There is no differentiation. So we go mass market. So this is for more or less the whole market, the whole society. But then I think mass market, is for more general products. Now you have to sell some very specialist products or specialized products. So here you have to go niche. You have to focus. You have to really look at the market and you have to define your segment. This is called niche market or niche segment. So as you can see, if you are selling skydiving equipment or skiing equipment or scuba diving equipment, this is where you have to go niche, because everyone doesn't do it. It's a very specialist market. You have to target, you have to focus. Now, this is a very interesting area, guys. And this is where I sort of say that you usually segment your market, especially nowadays, through multiple demographic variables. How does that happen? All right, let's take a couple of examples here. So you have Nick, one on my right, a young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed gentleman, and on my left, sorry, and on the right you have his grandmother, Mrs. Beale. Now, both of them represent a market segment. All right, so you have to understand what are the different dynamics of that market segment. So let's very, very quickly look at Nick before we go to Mrs. Beale. Nick is someone, when he wants to entertain himself, he has a gaming system. He has, one of these, what you call Nintendos or Xboxes set up in his special room, and he invites his friends, and they have snacks, and then they have competition, and they take it quite seriously. It's called gaming. I don't do that, but my son is a little bit into it. He's like what you see here, like Nick. Okay. What about Mrs. Beale? How does she entertain herself? Well, she doesn't do Nintendo. Well, some grandmothers may be playing Nintendo, but she likes to read. She likes to sit in a quiet room. And she enjoys her sort of, novels or love stories or whatever you want to call them. Now, Nick wants to communicate. How does he do that? Well, he has a smartphone. So he communicates most of the times while driving and sending text messages to his friends. Well, don't do that, okay? Many Nicks do that, they shouldn't. And then occasionally he talks to his friends as well. So he's using these multiple communication channels. And the platform here is your mobile phone or a multimedia interactive device. What does Mrs. Beale do when she wants to talk to her friend? Well, she just picks up the phone, online phone, dials the number, and she talks. One more final point in terms of demographics. Okay, how does Nick socialize when he goes out? This is called the outing trip. Well, he goes to a nice restaurant or he goes to a nice place where he and his friends sit down, they have food, they have drink, they talk to each other, they do what we call halagulla, and they enjoy themselves. What about Mrs. Beale? Well, Mrs. Beale, when she wants to do some outing, either she goes with her friends to a bingo club where they have a few games of bingo and they have a little bit of laugh and fun, or she visits her daughter and where she sort of mingles with her grandchildren. Nick lives in a flat, the final point, whereas Mrs. Beale, who has a lot of money in the form of pension or retirement income, lives in a nice big bungalow. So this way of segmenting a market is using a diverse canvas. Here, you're using multiple demographics to understand markets and to create markets. Okay, so customers, guys, first component, very, very important. So let's sort of move on. Sorry. Oh, okay. Now this is the middle part. This, I would say, is perhaps the core of business model canvas, and that is the value creation or the value generation. Very important part. So customers, remembers, they don't buy a product, they buy benefits. Okay? So they don't buy the physicality, they buy emotionality. So how does that happen? Okay, so what you have in front of you are key value creators. There are many, but I'm just sort of giving you what I say, the priority list. So here, for instance, performance is important. If I bought a Huawei, whatever it's called, I don't even know the model, okay? Yeah, it's something N30. I want to have, performance on my fingertips. I should be able to access my data quickly. I should be able to access internet quickly. So I am after the functional performance. If you buy a car, a high performance car, obviously, if you buy a Ferrari, you want to do 0 to 60 seconds in about 1.2 seconds. Performance is important. Design is important, okay? Brand itself is very important. I know in China, for instance, some of these Chinese people, brands can have a lot of power. They are selling their kidneys to buy the latest, iPhone. It can go that crazy. I'm not suggesting that you should do anything like that, but brands have a lot of power. Harley Davidson, amazing brand. They don't do any advertising. They have fan clubs. They have loyal customers. They do the advertising for them. So all they do is they just sort of keep in touch with these diehard fans and, like wind behind the aeroplane tail. They do the advertising, they do the promotion. Okay, price is important, obviously. When I'm sort of creating value, I really need to be very focused on, okay, is it worth this much? Are customers going to pay this amount, this price tag for this benefit, for this value? Okay, let me give you a very interesting example. You guys today are sitting in IBA, one of the best institutions in Pakistan, and especially CED. MashaAllah, your leader, Dr. Shahid Qureshi, is taking it to very, very dizzy heights. Some of the programs he's running are very successful. They have won not just national, but international awards. So I see some of you becoming CEOs or business champions or business gurus. And maybe you will one day have your own aeroplane. But if you don't own an aeroplane, there is another way of getting your private jet. And that is by going to NetJets. Okay, so what NetJets is doing is they are giving you accessibility. What they are saying to you is, okay, if you can't afford your own jet, you can rent it. You can buy timeshare. So basically what these companies do, where they have some ambitious high-flying executives and who want to have the experience of having their own jet, they basically buy the jet for 3 to 4 days. And they pay something like $20,000, $30,000, and they have that luxury. So where you do not have access in terms of buying the product, you cannot afford the price, then you can have your private jet. Or if you are not into that sort of thing and you're very price conscious and you want to fly from, let's say, UK to Cyprus, and you want to go the cheapest because you're a student and you are on a very, very shoestring budget, then you go to EasyJet. EasyJet is basically a no-frills, cheap airline where you can get some really, really good deals. So for instance, now they are sort of doing a lot of promotion for summer. And you see, you can get 30 to 40 pound flights going between two cities. Generally, if you go by a slightly renowned airline, you have to pay a lot more. So here the value is the very low price. Okay, guys, let me ask you a question. What you see here is something hopefully you will be buying very soon. I know this is something which is, I see a lot of it in Qatar. I mean, these Rolexes where, they are water resistant to 100 meters and, they're accurate to 1/100th of a second. I asked my students, some of them are wearing this. And I asked them, look, human brain cannot detect beyond 1/10th of a second. So having a watch which is 1/100th of a second accurate, I mean, what value is that going to give you? And how many of you are going to do scuba diving where you are going to go beyond 100 meters? Most scuba divers, amateurs, or even semi-professionals don't go beyond 25 meters. But anyway, it's thrill of having that watch. So can anyone tell me, what value does this particular brand deliver? Why would you buy a Rolex? Or why would anyone buy a Rolex? Yes, and I'm absolutely right. Let's not kid ourselves. Yeah, we want, Sayyid Naqvi, absolutely spot on. It is all to do with status signaling. I've seen these guys who buy Rolexes and then they don't sort of roll down their sleeves. They roll up their sleeves so that everyone can see the see the watch. And I'm absolutely fine with that. For God's sake, I'm a marketeer. I help them with these things. So Rolex, yes, absolutely right. Status signaling. And let's go to the other side of the continuum. You have Nano from Tata. So tell me, so what value is this brand giving to anyone? Yeah, we are slaves to our instincts. Absolutely right, Nakwi. Absolutely right. Okay, there is an element of brand loyalty as well, absolutely. Yeah, so here, let's sort of look at slightly. So what are, yeah, okay, economics. So what is distinct about Nano? It is perhaps the cheapest car in the world. And the quality is not that bad either, absolutely, nominal price. So see here, you're not just talking about the brand now, pocket friendly, yes, absolutely. Now you're talking about cost. You're talking about cost efficiency. Again, it's a value, it's a benefit. If I'm a non-user, I cannot afford a Toyota Corolla, then at least I can afford a Nano. So I'm basically creating a new segment and a benefit for that segment where they can satisfy their needs. Okay, so let's move on from segments. Let's move on from value proposition on to the third component, which is channels. Now, this is a very important part of a business model. And it's a very, very, how should I say, erratic part in the sense it is always in a state of flux. And I think we have made a tremendous technological progress as far as channels are concerned. So basically channels are touch points. So Coca-Cola is saying that their ambition is to create so much market penetration that you will be able to access in urban areas Coca-Cola from any 100 meters, so from 100 meters in any direction. So that is creating so many touch points that you are able to get your Coca-Cola if you walk 100 meters in any direction. And that is in the urban areas. They haven't got there yet, but this is the sort of accessibility they want to create. So touch points, okay. So you're more traditional, sales teams, expensive, but at least here you have a face-to-face situation. And usually you use this type of market access for high value products and more sophisticated products, which need a decent amount of explaining or knowledge transfer. Okay, then obviously you have these exclusive brands. You know, we've been talking about Rolex, we've been talking about Apple, and we've been sort of talking about Ferraris and so on. So they are exclusive brands. Harley Davidson's, they need their own retail outlets, they need their own stores. That is again a channel where all these loyal customers come and they experience the product, or they have, interaction with the offering. So then you have partner stores. I mean, it's a very, very common format. It's a very, very popular format in America, USA, where you have a huge store such as a Walmart, and then there are a number of partner stores in there. So you will have your McDonald's, and you will have your, Starbucks, and you will have your, Dairy Made, and so on and so forth. But what I want to focus on is internet. And I think this is where things are changing. Now, this is where we are creating touch points which are virtual and which are what I call omnipresent. They are ubiquitous, anywhere, anytime, 24/7. And I think this is creating what I call a reversal effect as well. So here, internet is creating channels which are giving a lot more power to the customer. In fact, it is introducing a new concept which is called self-servicing. And this particular concept is giving a lot of power to the customer. Customer becomes a supplier through internet. And by the way, yeah, it is interesting. Internet is, in my view, the future of distribution. It is a channel which is going to grow, but it is going to destroy. It is going to, I would say, obliterate a number of traditional businesses. I think examples are in front of you. Sony, EMI, these sort of music distributors, what happened to them? They got totally blown out of the market. What happened to Kodak, Fuji? Gone. What happened to digital cameras? Gone. What happened to typewriters? So basically, where you have these technological onslaughts, there is a lot of carnage as well. And hence I say, in entrepreneurship, I think I've made this statement before, there is survival of the fittest. And remember, change is the most constant factor. As long as you realize that, I think you're on the right path. So internet creating lots and lots of change, especially when it comes to creating touch points for the customer. All right, now we sort of go through it a little bit quicker. And again, I'm going to bring in the element of internet. And I'm going to bring in what we say the online channels and how they affect customer relationships. I'm not going to talk about the traditional relationships. All of you know what key account management is, so I'm not going to spend my time there. More interested in this aspect of self-service, which is enabled by online sort of, technology, or quite, namely internet. So what's happening here, guys? Okay, before I sort of start discussing this, I want to ask you a question. I know the time is sort of moving, ticking, and never enough time. Can anyone, okay, you guys tell me, when did you go to your bank last time? Going to the bank means going to the actual physical branch, maybe in Atrium or some other part of Karachi. Last week, okay, up, sir. All right, every month. Okay, all right, okay, now that is, Sayyid Naqvi, this is exactly the point I was going to make. You are absolutely right.
Dr. Saab, एक मिनट सर वो जरा डॉक्टर साहब वो हमारे अहमद जहीर साहब कुछ पूछना चाह रहे थे गालिबन अहमद जहीर साहब is our registrar of IBA, ex-registrar, is taking this course, sir. देखें ये माशाल्लाह कर्नल रैंक के ऑफिसर हैं और माशाल्लाह he's very one of the.
Thank you very much, sir. This I had raised my hand काफी देर पहले, उसका जवाब भी मिल गया था. बहुत शुक्रिया.
Oh, माशाल्लाह, wonderful. Yeah, ये सर मैं जरा इनको हाईलाइट भी करना चाह रहा हूँ. Even at this age of, I don't know exactly, लेकिन he must be around 65, 70. और ये इतना meticulous है खुर्रम साहब, ये जनाब कोई मौका हर मिनट को कीमती बनाते हैं सर. जज़ाकल्लाह.
We had a very, thank you very much, sir. Inshallah. Thank you very much. Okay, Ji, excellent, guys. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. Now let me sort of share something with you. And I'm not sort of, here I'm being absolutely honest with you. I haven't been to my bank in the last 4 years. Now you must be saying, hang on. He must be joking with us. No, I'm not joking with you. First of all, the bank doesn't want a customer like me. I'll be very honest. They don't want me in the bank. Why? Because I'm a low value customer. So to me, they say, if I've got an account with QNB, Qatar National Bank, they say, okay, you don't need to come to the bank. The bank will come to you. So just sort of go online, and if you want to transfer money, you can do that. If you want to check your account, you can do that. And if you want to withdraw money, go to ATM. You don't have to come to the bank. And I'm happy with that, because I don't need to waste my time going there, sitting down, spending half an hour to 1 hour, and then getting service. So first of all, I am not creating enough value for the bank, so I am not welcomed inside the bank. It's more like big businesses who should go into the bank and, they sort of, take loans, they pay interest, and hence they are more sort of a lucrative proposition. For me, the bank suggests, and like many other organizations, now this is going through the industry, this concept of automated or self-service. So it's happening with banks. It's happening with the healthcare sector. It's happening with the education sector. And especially in this COVID season, it's happening literally everywhere. The food sector, I mean, the couriers are having a ride of their life. They're making a lot of money. Order online, get it delivered. Music industry, it's gone online. As I was saying, you EMI, Sony lost millions of dollars when they sort of signed these huge superstars, paying them 60, 70 million dollars. And then what happened later? When they were trying to sell their CDs for $7 to $8 or £6 to £7 a piece, no one would buy. They would just go to iTunes and they will download the song for $1. So this particular transition, change in technology has created a lot of carnage, but that's fine. So I don't go to the bank comes to me. Secondly, you as a customer are giving a lot of value to an organization or a business. And this is what I call the co-creation, the fourth point, equity from customer. Now, how many of you buy from Amazon or a similar web-based business or online business? Anyone? Okay, good. So quite a few of you buy books, music, things like that. Okay, different marketplace, absolutely, that's fine. I mean, you may have a, like in China, you have different versions of Google and you have different versions of, Alibaba, for instance, is very prominent in China rather than Amazon. Okay, yeah, toys, absolutely. Now, one thing that Amazon does, and so do these other online businesses, they ask for your comments. They ask for your feedback. That is a customer view. And usually they tempt you with some sort of a bonus, some points which you can use later on. So why are they so kind to us, these businesses, that they are offering us some sort of an incentive to share our review with them? It's because you are giving them some very valuable data. You are giving them some very valuable information which they use to streamline their merchandise. So this co-creation, customers becoming very important part of a business. They share knowledge, they share ideas. In some cases, such as Microsoft Windows, they have this whole team of techies, 3,000, 4,000 individuals who test their software, who test their applications before they go into the market. Co-creation. They are getting all this wonderful knowledge at a very low cost. So guys, customer is becoming a very important part of value creation. So these relationships, in fact, are reversing. And that is what's going to happen in the future as well. Okay, so let's sort of move on. And this is more of a traditional part. I'm not going to spend too much time, but I just want to pick on something, creating revenue streams. Obviously, businesses exist for monetary sort of, extraction. They want to make money. And there is nothing wrong with that, okay? And you have different formats here. You can sell a product, you can sort of, rent a product, you can have subscription, you can have some sort of a licensing agreement, or you can have, like most credit cards, a brokerage fee. Now, let me sort of ask you a question, because these revenue streams can be generated in very creative ways. And sometimes you don't even realize that money is being extracted from you. So the question is, anyone can answer, more than 80% of the HP Hewlett Packard revenue comes from, fill in the blank. Where does it come from? Which product? Hewlett Packard, you know the name. Okay, laptop. Wow. Sayyid Asif. Bang on, bro. Absolutely. Printers, servers, laptops. Yes, they do sell laptops. They do sell printers. Printers, in fact, is their main line. However, some of you may be surprised to know that most of their revenue actually comes from cartridges. Now, let me share something else with you. That they sell the printer in some cases at the cost price. So they're not making any money on the printer itself. So where is the money coming from? If it's not the printer, it's a cartridge. And in fact, by the time you have bought about 20 to 25 of their cartridges, their money is made. So whatever you buy after that is pure profit. And you know, as I know, I'm a big sufferer. You know, a lot of pain is inflicted. Every 2 weeks, the cartridge is gone. And then you go running to the shop, you know, here you sort of spend something like 70 Qatari riyal. It's about 2,800 rupees for a cartridge. So you see, these guys are very clever in creating those revenue streams. Now, obviously, you have to put the business together. Now, what we are doing is we are moving from the customer side, which, if you remember, was the right side of the model, 4 components. Now we are moving to the organization side. Now we are moving to the business side. Now we are moving to the production side. So when you're producing, when you're creating products, when you are putting together services, you need resources. And generally, again, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here. I think it's reasonably self-explanatory that you need physical resources. For instance, Metro in Pakistan, or Carrefour here, or Sainsbury in UK, or Tesco's in UK. These are huge retail superstores. So when they create value, they need to have wide variety of products, different lines of products, a large physical space, a huge sort of, you know, hangar or some sort of a covered area. And that is one of the key resources they use. Then obviously, if you change the business and you sort of start talking about a business such as Microsoft, which is more in the area of, you know, selling product which is knowledge-based product, then you need intellectuals, you need engineers, you need what we say programmers, we need software developers. And then if you sort of start talking about another different type of business, such as a pharmaceutical company, you know, you're talking about Pfizer's, you're talking about Shearing Plows, you're talking about Abbott's. Well, they need scientists. They need human experts. They need people who can do years and years of research and then come up with a drug. You know, like what's happening with COVID-19, a lot of human effort in quite a few institutions and pharmaceutical companies is going on. So the nature of the key resources changes with the type of business, but usually all businesses need these 3 types, maybe in different proportion. Okay, so now what do you do with those resources? Well, you have to work with those resources. So you have to work with those resources to create value. So what are some of those key activities that you get involved with? Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. It is reasonably self-explanatory, because next 15 to 20 minutes, I really want to go into application. So here, if you are a car company, if you are Suzuki, Atlas, yeah, you need a lot of production facility. You need plants. You need conveyor belts. You need lathe machines. You need assembly lines. But if you are a company such as McKinsey or a consulting business, then you need more of a problem-solving potential. So this is where you need maybe humans, you need consultants, you need people with a lot of knowledge. Or if you are a business such as American Express, or MasterCard, or Visa, basically your key activity is to put the customer and the supplier together. So you're creating that common space where these 2 entities, i.e. customer and supplier, meet. So these are the key activities. And again, all businesses do these activities in different balances. You know, in some cases, the focus is more on production. In other cases, the focus is more on problem solving and so on and so forth. Okay, guys. I think this is a 7th component, partnerships. So remember, when you are a business, you need inputs. And sometimes you need to create partnerships. you have to create relationships to get those inputs. So if you want to grow, if you want to extend, if you want to bring in expertise, sometimes you do not have them within the organization. So you have to reach out. So here, typically, 3 types of partnerships are formed. And I think you are already aware of these types. So I'm just going to very, very quickly tell you, for instance, Qatar Airways, they have a quite elaborate network, but still they can't get to every part of the world. So what do they do? Like many other airlines, they create something called a strategic alliance, i.e. in the non-interest areas, they basically partner with their competition. So for instance, if they want to go to Far East, and if they want to go deeper into the Malaysian market, they will have what we call a strategic alliance, and this time it will be with the Malaysian Airways. So Qatar Airways will take the passengers up to Kuala Lumpur, and after that, Malaysian Airways will take care of the rest of the route. It's a strategic alliance. This is where you are partnering with another airline to extend your route. Joint ventures, I think you're already aware of them. This is where you create a new company. You feel that your resources are compatible with another company, and if you two combine, you can produce products which you can't produce on your own. So in this case, for instance, there have a number of joint ventures, and you have some examples here. Finally, let me sort of give you a little bit more specific example, and this is buyer-supplier. I think most of you like Starbucks, or at least you must have experienced Starbucks, and yeah, they have good coffee, no doubt about that. I mean, I do like their Arabica, freshly ground coffee. The taste is quite good. However, remember, the taste of the coffee, whether it's Starbucks, whether it's Kenco coffee, whether that is Gloria Jeans, the taste of the coffee comes from how you roast the beans. So the beans of the coffee, even if they are A-class beans, have to be roasted in the most proper fashion. The roasting is done by master roasters. So Starbucks has this ongoing partnership for the last 30, 40 years with a company called Green Mountain. And they are the master roasters. So they roast the beans in such a way that you get maximum flavor. So this buyer-supplier relationship has been going on for quite a few time, and then there are a number of buyer-supplier relationships. Finally, guys, cost structure. Okay, what is a cost structure? Well, there are 2 types of approaches to pricing. Okay, one is where you take the high road, the other is where you take the low road. Where you take the low road, the example is your AirAsia. So basically what you do is, you basically go no frills and you offer low cost to the customer. But on the same time, you offer them a fairly, how should I say, acceptable service. So the point is that you just want to fly from A to B and you want to fly at the cheapest fare. So in AirAsia, for instance, I've done a few trips. If you go on AirAsia, you don't get any water, you don't get any food. All you get is a seat. And the food, if you buy, and accidentally, if you buy food, it will cost you about 1/3 the price of the ticket. So this is where they make money. On the other hand, the high road is where you go on an airline such as Singapore Airlines. You have to pay through your nose, but you will get an unforgettable service. You will get a gourmet meal, freshly cooked on board. You can have Japanese, you can have Chinese, you can have a French cuisine. You can really, really lap in luxury, but then, as I said, you have to pay a lot of money. So in one case, you have a cost-driven approach in terms of how you're going to sell your service or your product, like AirAsia. On the other hand, you will have a value-driven approach where you give premium value, premium service, premium product to your customer. Singapore Airlines is one, and I think Zahir Saab mentioned Qatar Airways. He had some wonderful experiences. So I think I can put that in a similar bracket. They take a value-driven approach. Mohammed Hassan, you have your hand up. What do you want to say? Okay. Well, we can have a very quick answer session later on. Let me sort of get these goods to you first, guys, because I think the time is really, really running. All right, so let's summarize all that. I know there was a lot of information to take in. I want to summarize all this, what I have said, in about 1 hour, 15 minutes. And please watch this video. This basically gives you the summary of what I have said. What is a business model canvas and how it is put together. So let's sort of watch this, and then I want to do the last about 15 minutes to 20 minutes I want to spend on an application. Okay, so let's summarize. So watch the video, pay attention, and this will sort of more or less repeat what I've said.
An organization's business model can be described with 9 basic building blocks. Your customer segments, your value proposition for each segment, the channels to reach customers, customer relationships you establish, the revenue streams you generate, the key resources and key activities you require to create value, the key partners, and the cost structure of a business model.
Okay, guys, I'm getting messages you can't see. I have to run the video from okay, no problem. Just give me a minute. I will run it from the source. I have to go to the YouTube and run it from there. So just give me a minute. Let's do this.
खुराम साहब, आप अगर इसको दोबारा स्क्रीन शेयर कर लेना और स्क्रीन शेयर में आप वीडियो के ऊपर करके कर लें तो तब भी हो जाएगी.
I'll do that. Just a minute. 1 minute दे मुझे. I will do that.
Sure.
Okay, guys, just stick with me. Almost there. All right. Okay, just a second.
Business model. But it's not sufficient to just enumerate the 9 building blocks. What you really want to do is to map them out on a pre-structure.
Okay, so.
खुराम साहब, we can't see if you're right.
Okay, जी हो गया बस. I am going to do this right now. Okay, so let's sort of start the video. Here we go.
An organization's business model can be described with 9 basic building blocks. Your customer segment, your value proposition for each segment, the channels to reach customers, customer relationships you establish, the revenue streams you generate, the key resources and key activities you require to create value, the key partners, and the cost structure of a business model. But it's not sufficient to just enumerate the 9 building blocks. What you really want to do is to map them out on a pre-structured canvas. This is what we call the business model canvas, the tool that helps you map, discuss, design, and invent new business models. Let's briefly go through the 9 building blocks, starting with the customer segments. These are all the people or organizations for which you're value. This includes simple users and paying customers. For each segment, you have a specific value proposition. These are the bundles of products and services that create value for your customers. The channels describe through which touch points you're interacting with customers and delivering value. Customer relationships outline the type of relationship you're establishing with your customers. The revenue streams make clear how how and through which pricing mechanisms your business model is capturing value. Then you need to describe the infrastructure to create, deliver, and capture value. The key resources show which assets are indispensable in your business model. The key activities show which things you really need to be able to perform well. The key partners show who can help you leverage your business model. Since you won't have, normally perform all key activities. And once you understand your business model's infrastructure, you'll also have an idea of its cost structure. So with the business model canvas, you can map out your entire business model in one image. This works for startup entrepreneurs just as well as for the most senior executives.
Okay, guys, so I think it's a very good summary video. So you should have a slightly better idea of what is you to use business model canvas and help me to look into a problem. Okay, so let's sort of start. Oops, sorry. That's it. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Okay, so let's sort of come back to our business model canvas. Okay, so everyone can see, just to make sure all can see the slides now. Okay,
Yes,
so let's sort of solve a big problem. The big problem, a big issue. Let's look into it. A big problem, a big issue as a social entrepreneur is access to proper sanitation. And there is a particular element here, a particular component here that basically stands out when it comes to access to proper sanitation. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and then once you answer that question, we will move on. 2.6 billion people lack access to something which is part of proper sanitation. What is that something? Would anyone like to tell me? So 2.6 billion people around, okay, clean water, good, clean water. It has something to do with the clean water, but you have to move a step back. What makes the water unclean? So it's 2.6 billion people lacking access to something. Okay, I'll give you 30 seconds more because I really want to crack on. Oh yeah, now you're sort of coming to the industrial waste. It's not just industrial waste actually, it is human waste. And I think that's sort of nice. Yes, I think Muhammad Hassan, very good. It is toilets. So basically, 4 out of 10 people in the world, this is going back a few years, maybe now the situation is slightly better, lack even the most simple toilet. All right, so let me sort of share something with you. Maybe as an entrepreneur, it is a good news, and especially as a social entrepreneur, it's a better news. So you have a product here, or I have a product here, which I'm going to give to you. And this is basically a toilet. It's the simplest form of toilet. So 2.6 billion people, just imagine, just got their own toilet. And this toilet is called pee-poo. Okay, so what does pee-poo do? What is pee-poo? Okay, pee-poo basically, as you can see here, is a bag. And that bag becomes a toilet. So how does it become a toilet? Let me very, very quickly show you this clip, and then we will move on with our activity. So watch the clip. Go back, sorry. And I don't know whether I'll be able to run it from here.
More than 40% of the world's population don't have a toilet. More than 1 billion of these people live in rapidly growing slums.
Okay, can you see the video, guys?
Or build any sanitary infrastructure.
Good.
Human excrement contains dangerous, often lethal pathogens that
all right, good. So let's carry on.
Pollute the environment. 1 child dies every 15 seconds due to contaminated water. This makes the lack of toilets one of the world's most serious problems. Can there really be a quick and feasible solution to this difficult problem? We believe so. It's called the pee-poo. The pee-poo is a personal single-use toilet in the form of a small bag that's easy to carry and easy to use. It can be used anywhere and is designed to be affordable even to those with the weakest purchasing power in the world. This small toilet acts as a micro-treatment plant that sanitizes the human excreta shortly after defecation, thereby preventing the feces from contaminating the environment. This means the pee-poo bag has the potential to improve the health, safety, privacy, and hygiene for millions of people, with immense benefits for society. But that's not all. The innovative pee-poo bag is made of degradable bioplastic, and since all pathogens are inactivated, the feces turn into valuable fertilizer with a high market value. Since it requires no infrastructure and no investment costs, it's more advantageous than other sanitation solutions for the world's less developed countries. And it's already available. So let's take on one of the world's biggest challenges.
Okay, guys, so let's take on one of the biggest world challenges, and let's summarize what the video said, because now I want you to do something for me. So this is what the video said. It's a single-use toilet bag. It neutralizes all the bad stuff in the feces. It is self-sanitizing. It does not harm the environment, damage the environment, because it is biodegradable. Once the bag is used, the feces is neutralized. They turn into a fertilizer. It is very affordable. Hence, you can target poor people, or, how should I say, people who do not have access to a toilet, or underprivileged segments of the society. And the production cost is quite low. Now, I want you to take on this challenge. I want you to outline in the next 10 minutes a business model around this proposition. I want you to convert this into a business, okay? And I want you particularly, especially to consider these trigger questions, these 6 trigger questions, which will help you. I know we don't have time to create a masterpiece, but at least some sort of an outline where you can sort of practice 6 questions I want you to answer. The first one, who should you target with this bag? Customer segment. Second question, how will you generate revenue streams? So here I want you to go creative, out of the box. Think about different businesses out there, different groups of people out there. How can we create revenue streams from this product? Third point, how are we going to create touch points with the customer? So what channels can we use to get the bag to the customer or the potential user? Fourth question, partnerships. Who else could be interested in the bag beside the end user? And remember here, not only partnerships, you can start thinking about different types of customers as well. Remember, end user is not the customer. He's actually making the product for you. So once the product is ready, used by the end user, who are you going to sell that product to? Think about it. And then obviously strategic partnerships. Remember, distribution is an issue here. If the bag is not used, it is not consumed, it doesn't become a product. Can you distribute on your own? You can, but you won't get market penetration. So here you need people to leverage your product, to get you to different parts of the market. So who could be these potential strategic partners? Here is your business model canvas. You have about 6 to 7 minutes. Start thinking about those questions and outline a business model for me. I'm going to look at your chats. If you have any questions while you're doing this, I will try to answer them. So please, next 5 to 6 questions, next 5 to 6 minutes, have a go, and then inshallah we'll summarize after that in about 5 minutes. So any questions, please chat to me, write them down, and I'll try to answer them. So just focus on the segment, focus on the revenue streams, focus on the channels, focus on the key partnerships, and also focus on the value proposition. Very, very important. I've given you the product, so key activities, key resources. At this point, you don't really have to look into them. Obviously, when you set up a business, there will be additional resources required. For instance, if you want to distribute them, you may need vehicles or transportation, and you may need more people in the form of key resources. You may need human input. So, but don't focus on that as yet. We don't have time for that. So everyone has gone awfully quiet. It takes a little bit of thinking. And as I said, I'm not expecting any masterpieces. We don't have time to create that. I'm sure after like 6 months of work, you will be able to produce quite a robust business model. I just want you to get the sense of the whole thing. Yeah, you can write on the actual template. Okay, good. That's good. That's good. Irfan, that's the sort of thing. So yeah, we have to focus on the rural areas, ghettos. Yeah. You can distribute them through malls and markets. Yeah. Yeah, you have to get in touch with the people who need fertilizers. So these could be nurseries, absolutely. These could even be retail outlets, the garden section, where people like you and me go and buy their product, seeds and fertilizers, so that we can grow our rooftop garden. So yeah, good input, Irfan. You can write on a template, say it like Naqvi, and then you can sort of share the template with the rest of us. I think I already emailed the template to be given out to all the participants. Hope it got to you guys. Anyone else? There's some good comments on the segments. Yeah, okay. So key partners. Right, good. I think, again, Mudassar, some good comments. Mudassar Shafiq. You are talking about social corporate responsibility. Yes, people would like to be seen in that light. So sort of organizations that you can attract or you can engage. So here you're talking about social organizations, for instance, mosques, schools, dispensaries, hospitals, very important. Even, in some cases, I would go as far as, Kriana stores, kokas. Good, good. Because remember, you have to create touch points near to the most appropriate customer segment. Okay, yeah, absolutely. I think this is another interesting customer segment, Mudassar. Yes, I totally agree with you. Tourists, and even where you have maybe these forces going into these hard to reach areas. or they are now launching offensive in areas which have no toilet facilities. I mean, a bag like this can be used there. Tourists can use them absolutely, especially if they are going to, on the northern areas and they are doing some climbing where they may not have these type of facilities. So that is a special use. Maybe the market is not that big, but then, yeah, I totally agree with you. That could be an alternative segment. Good guys. All right. Any idea about any more ideas about channels? Okay. Yes, that's a very good point. That is a very good point. We can create, selling partnerships, and we can cross-sell. Definitely, we can cross-sell. And this is what I was saying, where you can engage retailers, prominent retailers, for example, where they're selling camping equipment or something of a similar nature. You can position these products on the shelves which are around that area. Yeah, Noman, that's a good point. I think here you can talk about, villages are open spaces, maybe not a huge problem because the feces goes into the ground and it gets sort of, how should I say, worked on. And it sort of, it becomes part of the soil. The problem is where you have, some of you were saying slum areas or, urban areas where there is a lot of concentration of population. I know, for example, refugee camps are, areas where the situation is not that good. And you can have lots of diseases coming in because of inappropriate disposal of feces or, human waste. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point, Adnan, Adim. That is what I was sort of going to say, that advertising can be done through these bags. These bags can carry logos, brands of different organizations. So you can get sponsorships. That could be a very good revenue stream. And those sponsorships can then be used for manufacturing. Absolutely. And then, yeah, you can use mobile fans. I mean, I was thinking of even three-wheelers like rickshaws, chingchis, and Karyana stores, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, these are small Karyana stores, kokas, those very informal businesses, absolutely. Yes, I think this is where now we have to start thinking that who will be the customer here. Yes, you can approach nurseries, that is business to business, or you can sort of, go to sort of these common folk, people like sort of, doing gardening back of their house, top of their roof. If they need a manure, if they need a fertilizer, then, they can be reminded that this is good cause. This is for the society. They can play their part. Absolutely. Yes, Sayyid Naqvi, absolutely agree with you. I think here, mosques, schools, dispensaries, these social institutions, stroke, healthcare, educational institutions, religious institutions can be collaborating with fertilizer companies. Again, I think this is where you're creating an alliance where there is no mutual interest, because they're already selling fertilizers. So you might be seen as a competition. That is a problem. But you can definitely ask hospitals, because remember, at the end of the day, you're reducing disease. You are trying to sort of, ensure there is clean water. You are trying to reduce the healthcare budget. So if you can make a case where all this is happening, and that will save a lot of money for these concerned institutions, then you can ask them for their help in fighting the cause. Yeah, but see here, Adnan, the feces goes into the actual bag and it becomes fertilizer. So you can't take it out. Once it's in, the chemical reaction starts and you can't sort of do anything else with it. Okay, I think you guys have cracked it. I am very happy. Some of you are coming up with these wonderful ideas. Obviously, we can spend a lot of time with this. It is biodegradable, Bushra. Yes, waste management companies, absolutely. Adim, that's a very good idea. They can be strategic partners. You are helping them. You're creating a cleaner environment here. Yes, we have to establish a supply chain, which will be basically part of the business model, but that's a slightly different model, but that has to be done as part of the channel, i.e. creating customer touch points. You need to have some sort of a logistics operation. Very good, very good. Okay, guys, it is 4:02. And I know I was supposed to go until 4 o'clock. And I think we had a very decent session. Next 4 to 5 minutes, I'm just gonna hang around and I'm gonna take any questions in general, whether they're related to this particular application or the session as a whole. So anyone who wants to ask any questions the next 3 to 4 minutes, you're more than welcome. If you don't want to ask any questions, then thank you very much. It was wonderful talking to you guys. Enjoyed the session. Please stay safe and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Dr. Khurram, for a very insightful session, something that has been very informative. I'm sure people who are already managing their own businesses will also benefit from this. And of course, people who are not managing a business right now and people who are planning to start it, they will definitely benefit from it. Well, there's just one question. If you could quickly go over the key activities.
The key activities.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me sort of very, very quickly sort of remind. So key activity basically is what you do to the key production components. So here, if you remember, let me sort of go back. Okay, so if you remember, there were these two components are sort of interlinked. So key resources was the first part of the equation. So as I said, most businesses need resources to create value, okay? And as I said, the resources come in 3 general forms: physical, intellectual, and human. So depending on the type of business, the key resources, their balance or their proportion changes. So for instance, I said, in retailing, if you want to create something like Metro or Carrefour, a huge retail superstore, then you need a lot of space, you need different products, you need a lot of physical input, okay? On the other hand, if you're Microsoft or you are a software developer, then you need resources in the form of intellectualism. You need knowledge. You need people who are software developers. You need techies. Or if you are a pharmaceutical company, then you need more scientific input. You need human expertise, like Pfizer, they take 10 years to develop a product. So the point here is businesses need these 3 type of key resources, depending on their nature, depending on their type, in different proportion. But then what do you do to these resources? Well, you perform key activities with them. So you need an output. When you consume these resources, there has to be a value, there has to be an output. For instance, one activity is that you work on these resources for production, like a car plant, like a motorcycle plant, or like a manufacturing setup. And what else can you do with knowledge? Another resource, intellect, another resource. Well, you can do problem solving, like what most consulting businesses do. Example I gave you was McKinsey. Price Waterhouse used to be another, big blue chip consulting, and they were very good at, coming up with innovations as far as problem solving within IT and the financial sector was concerned. Or what else can you do? Well, you can also be someone like MasterCard or as a credit card, and you can have the activity where you create platform. You create a setup where buyer and seller can trade. So what is, for instance, a credit card? Well, credit card is just a platform where you buy money. So from where do you buy money? From a bank. So who buys money? The customer. So how 2 of these come together? Through a platform, which is your American Express, which is your Visa, which is your MasterCard. So basically what's happening here is you have your key resources. Then from those key resources, you perform key activities on them, and the result is some sort of value creation or value generation. Okay, Taskin, is that reasonably clear?
That was very good. That was very well explained. I'm sure the answer is also clear. Once again, thank you, Dr. Khurram. We will be seeing you, inshallah, on the 21st of July now.
Inshallah, inshallah. Guys, once again, thank you very much for joining in. Really appreciate your presence. Inshallah, see you on 21st of July.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Take care. Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz.
The session is over, so everyone is free to leave. Thank you for attending.